There's some Jim Rohn for you this Friday morning. A little Jim Rohn. Hope you're taking it all in. I hope you're listening. I hope you're adopting what it is that you're picking up, right? I hope you're applying it into your life. He just said, ask for God's help, but you got to do your part. We all know our part, right? We know the work. That's what I constantly talk to you about is your work. The work you have to do on your mindset, the work you have to do in your health, the work you have to do in your finance, the work you have to do in your habits changing. It's the work that people miss. Yes, we pray as if it's up to God because it is ultimately, and we work as if it's up to us. That's the key. And many people don't work. We're not doing the work necessary to get to the life that we want. We say we want it. We say we want the financial freedom. We say we want the time freedom. We say we want to grow. We say we want to get healthy. Like we say all the things. But when it comes time to do the work, are we doing the work? I know you guys are, but most people don't. We got to keep going if we want to get to the life that we don't need a break from. Here's some notes. Hey, do it easy or do it hard. Either way, you got to get it done. It doesn't matter if it's easy or if it's hard. If you're going off to design a life you don't need a break from, guess what? It's going to be hard. There's some things that might be easy to you though. But whether it's easy or whether it's hard, you got to get it done. This is the mindset. This is the mindset. Are you getting it done? Whatever that looks like in your life, whether that's in your business, whether that's in your health, like it doesn't matter. Do it easy or do it hard, but either way, you got to get it done. It's the action that we take that gets us to the life that we want. It's the action. It's not the thinking. It's not the processing. It's not the I'm strategizing. It's the action. Massive action is what gets us to the life that we want. Why? Because it builds momentum. Whatever you take massive action on, you build momentum around. And most people just don't have the momentum to push them, to get them going. Remember, if everything worthwhile is uphill, if you look at life like you're climbing a mountain, then you need momentum to get up. You need momentum to go. Well, what brings the momentum is you doing more action, more than you think you're doing right now. It's the action that gets it. You got to do something about how you feel. If you feel a certain way, you got to do something about it. You got to take action. That's the key. Don't just sit in your feelings. We've heard this over and over again. We don't allow our feelings to dictate what we do. We have to be able to move beyond our feelings. Just because you don't feel like doing something doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. But you got to do something about how you feel. 4 questions he gave you. The first question was, why? Why are you here? Why should you be doing this work? Why read the books? Why change your life? Why wake up early? Why jump on the call? Like, why do any of this stuff? Are you clear on why? This is what keeps you consistent. Because if you're not clear on the why, if some days you want to do it and some days you don't, and sometimes you feel like and sometimes you don't, like that's the inconsistency will not get you to the life that you want. So why? You got to answer that question for yourself, for you. I can't answer that for you. Your spouse can't answer. Your parents can't answer. Like no one can answer that question for you but you. Why are you doing this? This is very similar to what I always tell you, your vision. Is it written down? Is it clear? Why are you doing anything? Why are you fixing your health? Why are you fixing your finance? Like why? Why even go to work? Like question everything, y'all. Question everything. Like why am I doing anything? So you can get to some answers so that it keeps you going. Okay? So you got to know why. Second question Jim Rohn gave you was, why not? Why not? All right. If you see other people living the life that you want, well, why not? Why not go after it? Why not go after financial freedom? Why not have the best marriage in the world? Why not be supremely healthy? Why not? What else are you going to do? Right? Again, life can come and knock you down and punch you and throw those haymakers at you, and you can just lay down and just like, hey, I don't want to. Okay, but is that helping us get to the life that we don't need a break from? So why not? Why not you? That's the third question. Why not you? You went from why to why not to why not you? I know we look at our athletes. I know we look at our superstars. I know we like to admire people that are doing things that maybe we want to do, but why not you? Where did we get the limiting belief that this is all we get? We just get this. If we can just retire safely, arrive safely at death, downsize, have a little bit, don't need much, that small life, that limiting belief that goes off in our head so often, we got to switch that if that's what you're hearing, if that's what you're thinking, we got to switch that to, well, why not me? Why can't I have it all? Why can't I go get that? Why can't I have that? Why not you? That's a really good question. I think you should ask yourself that more often, especially if you're looking at other people, especially if you're looking at other circumstances, other environment. If that's how you see things, like if that maybe motivates you a bit, then hopefully you're asking yourself, well, why can't I have that? Because everything is attainable. Fourth thing he said is, why not now? Why are we waiting? Why are we waiting for when the time is right? When the time happens, when this changes and that changes, then I will. Well, when this happens and this person does this, and then we figure out this, then I might. Why not now? Why not like today? It's the last Friday in February. We're about to be in March 2026. Like, why not today get started? Why not today get started on your health? Why not today get started on your financial journey? Like, why not today? Why not today? I was at a school yesterday, and one of the teachers had come up to like our table. I was talking about finance and stuff, and I was like, "Hey, you working with a financial professional right now?" She's like, "No, I'm not." And I was like, "How come?" She was like, "I don't think about it that often. Like, I don't think about money. I don't think about like this stuff." And I'm like, "Why not? Like, why don't you start thinking about it today? Like, you want to retire, right? Like, you want to get better. If I gave you $10 million, you would take it. You would go live life, right? So why not think about it today? Like, why not start today?" That's it. That's something you got to remind yourself. Do it now. I have that in my master plan to energize and focus. Don't wait. Do it now. I say it to myself over and over again. Don't wait. Do it now. The things that you are putting off actually could be done today. And as you take that action, you watch how your life changes. One thing that Jim Rohn talked about in there was a word. He said, delusion. Affirmation without discipline is delusion. I hope we're not deluding ourselves. I hope we're not thinking we're further along than we really are. I hope we're being brutally honest with ourselves. The world might not be brutally honest with you, but you should be brutally honest with yourself. You know where you are. You know where you are in your health. You know where you are in your spiritual life. You know where you are financially. Like, hopefully you know where you are and you're not in delusion. The first chapter of 177 Mental Toughness Secrets talks about this. It says the world class operates from objective reality. They don't delude themselves. Sometimes it's hard to hear. Sometimes it's hard to think about. But if we're going off to design our ideal life, if you are the person, you're building a life that you don't need a break from, you have to be like brutally honest with you. You got to operate from objective reality, right? Here's what it says in the text. It says, in 20 years of competing, coaching, and working with performers from various fields, I've discovered most amateurs suffer from mild to severe delusion in relation to their efforts and competencies. In other words, most people delude themselves into thinking they are working harder than they are and that they are more competent than they actually are. Of the 5 major levels of conscious awareness, poverty, working, middle, upper, and world class, my experience has been that performers in the middle class levels of consciousness suffer from the grandest delusions. The poverty level is barely surviving and living a very harsh set of circumstances. The working class is punching a mental time clock and counting the days until retirement. They're usually not expecting much, and no one around them expects much either. They're typically not concerned about climbing any higher. It's the middle class that is the most incongruent with reality. They're operating at a high enough level to understand that higher levels exist, although they don't expect to get there. The thought crosses their mind from time to time. Because of their low expectations, their actions are incongruent with their desires. In other words, they want to live a life of the world class, but are unwilling to pay the price. Since this reality is too harsh to bear, they delude themselves into thinking they are doing everything in their power to get ahead. Let me just say that sentence again, because that's like the crux of this. When you, not us, right? Not you, people. But again, it says here, in other words, they want to live a life of the world class, but are unwilling to pay the price. And since that reality is too harsh to bear, they delude themselves into thinking they're doing everything in their power to get ahead. Of course, they're not. They'll tell you they're putting in far more time than they are. They'll swear they're thinking about their vision all the time, but they're not. The world class is brutally honest with themselves, and they tend to look reality in the face. They err on the side of over practicing and over preparing. Champions know that to ascend to the top, you must first be operating from a mindset of objective reality. Self-deception and delusion have no place in the professional performer's consciousness. Are you brutally honest with yourself about your effort, about your competencies, about how much you know, about how well you are actually doing? I used to have a mentor in business, and we'd come across younger people. He'd come across younger people that would always say, I'm doing all right. Like, I'm doing good. I'm making good money, right? When we would talk to them, they have a job. They're making 50,000 a year, 60,000 a year in their 20s. They're like, man, I'm doing well. He would always say, good compared to who? Right? If you're making good money, good compared to who? Because I know a bunch of people that are your age that make more. So compared to who? Who are you comparing yourself to? This is how we delude ourselves, because it's a harsh reality when we say we're not where we want to be. We know we could do more. We know we could have more. We know we could be more. We know. But over time, if we're not careful, we'll say, I'm doing great right here. Right here. I know I could be here, but I'm doing great right here. That's delusion. That's where the middle class consciousness lives, in delusion. I'm right. I think the statistic is like 30+% of Americans are obese, like by definition of like how much weight they're overweight, they're obese. Someone that is obese typically does not say they are obese. Those are not the words they use. I'm a little big boned. I got to lose some weight. I'm a little overweight. I know I got, right. Like that's the words that we say. We don't say, man, when's the last time you had somebody that was overweight that was like, man, I'm obese. I'm obese. I need to get in the gym. Delusion. Delusion. All right. Financially, you guys know, in the money business, most people are delusional. I'm doing all right. You live paycheck to paycheck. You're not doing all right, right? Like that's not, like you're not doing well. But this is a harsh reality. The world, middle class, like they're going to not talk to you this way. We have a generation that's very soft. We don't talk about life in this way. But if you want to get to a life that you want, you have to start talking to yourself this way. Not in a negative self-talk way, in an objective reality way. I know where I'm at. I know where I need to improve. And now I'm going to go do the work. I know where I fall short. I know. I'm very aware of where I am. I don't delude myself. And you can't delude yourself if you want to go off and design your ideal life. Your actions have to be congruent. Oh, my hand raised. Your actions have to be congruent, right, with your desires. If you say you want something, don't lower what you want, right? There's a saying that's like, the words don't come to me, but it's something along the lines of like, instead of like lowering your dream to match like your circumstance, raise your work ethic to get to your dream. Right? Sometimes we just back down the dream. Oh, well, I probably can't get that, or it's getting long, or it's getting late. I'm getting older. I probably can't do that. Or this is my circumstance. This is how much money I have. So I really can't do that. Instead of, and most times we lower the dream. Instead of backing down your dream, just raise your standards, raise your work ethic, do more work. Don't delude yourself that you're working harder than you really are. I know you're tired, but that doesn't mean you're working at the right things all the time. This is objective reality. This is objective. This is you just being honest with yourself. I can have this conversation with you because I'm not having it individually with all of you. We're just taking in this information, but you apply this in your life. Find out where you are deluding yourself. Find out where you are saying, I'm working harder than I really am. Find out where you think you're doing better or have more competency than you actually do. Get around people that are more competent, that are further along in that area, and it'll allow you to measure up. Right? Again, mentor would always be like, compared to who? I'm doing well. Compared to who? Compared to who? Right? Are you? I played sports. So do you compare yourself with the last person on the bench? Like, do you compare yourself with the worst player on the team? Or do you compare yourself with the best player on the team? Do you say, I'm great because I'm better than this person? Or is it because, right, I actually am growing? I actually am at the top of this thing. Delusion has no place in the mindset of somebody that's going off to design their ideal life. Harsh reality, but you can handle it. That's why we're doing the work, you know. That's why you're doing the work. What do I always tell you? You're doing this work to build the capacity in you, the capacity to handle the life that you're asking for. Well, with that capacity is going to come you being brutally honest with yourself in all the areas. That's how we get better. That's how we get to the life we don't need a break from. Here, this quote from Steve Siebold says, amateur performers operate from delusion, pros operate from objective reality. The great ones' habits, actions, and behaviors are totally congruent with the size and scope of their ultimate vision. That's why we call them champions. If you want to be, whatever your vision is, your big God-sized dream, and I hope you all have one. I hope you have not even limited your imagination. If you can see it with your mind, you can hold it with your hand. So you got to start seeing things with your mind before you see them in real life. You got to see them in your mind. Your imagination should be big. We just talked about this on Wednesday. If you're going to think, you might as well think big. What's the purpose of thinking small? What's the purpose of saying, I'm just going to settle for this? What's the purpose in that? I know the reason we do that is because it's too harsh for us to keep dreaming and not see the dream become a reality. So eventually we stop dreaming. We stop turning on that dream machine. That cannot be us if we want to go off and design our ideal life. Your habits, actions, and behaviors have to be congruent with the scope of the life that you're trying to create, the vision. You got to have a big vision, and then you got to do the work, ladies and gentlemen. You got to do the work. The action step for today says make a commitment to check delusion at the door. Be honest and ask this critical thinking question. Are my habits, actions, and behaviors congruent with the vision for my life? If I say I want to be a multimillionaire, if I say I want to live to 110, if I say I want the best marriage, if I say anything that is a big vision, are your daily actions, habits, and behaviors congruent with that vision? Are you doing the things necessary to get you to that life, or are you living in a state of mild to severe delusion? Let's check delusion at the door today, ladies and gentlemen. It's the last Friday of February. We got March coming up. We're 2 months down into 2026. Where you at? Where you at in those goals that you wrote down in December? Don't delude yourself. Don't think you're further along than you really are. If you've been doing the work and you know you're further along, then great. Pat yourself on the back and keep going. But if you're not where you want to be, you know you haven't done all the things, don't delude yourself. Be brutally honest. And then step up to the plate. Step up to the challenge. I love you guys. I want you to win. You deserve it. You deserve it. Your families deserve it. Nobody tells you. I'll always tell you, you deserve to win. Now it's time to go do the work. Time to go do the work. Push yourself out of your comfort zone this weekend. Do something that scares you. We'll get back here on Monday, the first Monday of March. Get ready to continue to rock and roll. I love you guys. Enjoy your day. Enjoy your weekend.